Hi, everybody out there in PickFu land. This is our first third Thursday, which we're hoping is going to be a monthly discussion for everyone that follows us on Facebook and YouTube. I'm Kim Kohatsu. I'm the CMO, and I'm here with the PickFu co-founders. This is Justin Chen. Say hi, Justin.
Hey, everybody.
And John Lee is another PickFu co-founder. Say hi.
Howdy.
So every month, what we're hoping to do is kind of give you an insight on what is going on at the company, kind of show cool things that are going on, and just kind of nerd out on whatever you want to talk about. So if you have any questions or comments that you want to ask, go ahead and use either the comments on YouTube or the comments on Facebook, and we can answer them live. You can also go to the link that is below, so pfu.ly/third Thursday, and you can enter to win a free poll, which we might discuss in our next third Thursday, or you can also submit a question to have the team answer. So Keith says hi. Hi, Keith.
Hey, Keith.
Hey, Keith.
So the first thing I want to talk about is we are doing a PickFu COVID-19 small business grant. John, do you want to tell the people what that is?
Sure. So the PickFu COVID-19 grant, we are basically committing $20,000 of PickFu polling credit. The way we're going to distribute that is we'll do $200 grants to 100 qualified businesses who've been impacted by the coronavirus. So you can go to pickfu.com/COVID. It's a really short form. Just tell us about your business, how you've been impacted, and how some PickFu polls and polling credit might be able to help your business. And it'll just be an ongoing process where we're choosing recipients, and we might even be able to feature you in some of our marketing material to sort of help share your business and what interesting things you guys are doing.
Yeah, for sure. We've already started to award some of these grants. Justin, do you want to talk about some of the businesses and some of the ideas that they have for what they're going to do with the credit?
Yeah, so it looks like we've got some e-commerce sellers who are looking to work on new products, improve some of the products that they have. And this is a really great time for all businesses to just be kind of buckling down and working on their businesses. And that's what we're doing. We had a lot of conferences scheduled that got canceled, and so we're just kind of focused on building new features, improving our marketing, and kind of doing all the things that got pushed to the side. Usually get pushed to the side with day-to-day business. So it's a good time for everyone to focus on their business.
Yeah, I feel like COVID has kind of forced a lot of businesses into pivoting. Yeah. And whether that's a new product or new messaging or whatever, this is sort of a time of change. And I think that PickFu is really great to make sure that when you make those changes, you are going in the right direction. So, like you said, we've had some e-commerce sellers that are like, look, I'm shipping products that are non-essential. So Amazon's not shipping my product. And now I want to think about developing new products. Or I've been meaning to look at my packaging, and now I have the time to do that because, my products aren't flying off the shelves or, whatever. I feel like it's just a really good time to do that. And certainly some research through the PickFu platform can help with that.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, even just optimizing your listing, just because, you're not bringing new product in, so you can look at the listings that you have already and kind of see what you can do to improve the photography or the marketing copy, any of those things.
Definitely. Yeah. So speaking of, taking a look at messaging and, looking at how we do things more smartly, I kind of wanted to show a poll that we recently ran. So This is a PickFu poll that we ran for PickFu. We do this a lot to improve our own website and to make sure that we are kind of moving in the right direction too. So what we recently did was we were changing out the artwork on our pricing page, and we wanted to show some actual polls. And we had two different styles of screenshots. So the one on the left is sort of superimposed on a laptop, and the one on the right is kind of just a straight screenshot. And we pulled that with 50 people to see what they said. And essentially by about a 2-to-1 margin, option A, which is the one over on the left where the screenshots are superimposed on a laptop, won out. And what I found interesting about these results, and you can see, you know, everybody writes a comment and you get a demographic breakdown when you use PickFu. What I found interesting was the people that voted for option B, which is sort of the straight screenshot style, is they were really looking at it like, oh, this is like, I want to be able to read it, or I want to be able to see it. Whereas the people on the left kind of understood, oh, this is just really artwork. It's not really there to like literally be read, or, you know. And so I think that was sort of interesting. Did you notice anything else interesting in this poll?
Well, I think that sentiment is interesting because like we always like to advise our customers that, you know, not just to go with the winning option all the time. Like you do got to read the comments and decide like what the intent is of what you're trying to do. And if the intent of what we're trying to do is just to provide some imagery to kind of give a high overview of what the polls look like, but not actually, you know, read the question, like that's kind of not the point of these images here, then you want to read through the explanations and make sure that's what the audience is getting. Because this could have gone the other way, right? It could have been that option B won only because like everyone could read it, but you know, we don't want people like sitting there trying to squint and read it anyways, right? So
yeah,
we might have chosen option A even if option B won.
Yeah.
Because of that.
Yeah, John, anything else interesting pop out to you?
Yeah, it's one thing that surprised me. Yeah, it really surprised me how overwhelming and uniform those sentiments were for each option, like for option A and option B. Like option A, the respondents who chose option A, they really got that the point was it was meant to be sort of a like just something graphical, something that is relevant but not necessarily literal in terms of actually showing the exact detail of the screenshots. And when you read through the comments of option A, almost, you know, fairly universally they're mentioning that. And option B, you could tell that the respondents, they wanted to see things literal. They wanted to be able to, they preferred that because they really wanted to be able to read the question or see the detail of whatever options were shown on that screenshot. Generally with these kinds of responses, you can usually pick up a couple of different themes between responses for A or B or C, but this was really sort of those two sentiments were across one or the other.
Yeah, one of the things I think that is interesting that I'd like to show everybody is when you let me make this a little bit bigger. When you have your finished results, you can actually use this cool filter feature, and you'll see, you know, sort of the most commonly used words. So you can find like, oh, these are all of the ones that mention the word picture. Or I could use this button to just show what the men said, or, you know, just looking at certain age ranges. And I think that that's a really neat way to slice and dice the data, especially if, you know, you are trying to promote your product to a certain demographic group.
Yeah.
One of the neat filters too is as you go through the poll, you know, you can see things, you know, you can scroll over and you can see who this individual who answered actually is. So this first response, you know, is a male, 25 to 34. He has a high school education. He's white. I think that's really interesting to be able to sort of see, like, okay, like, am I hitting the people that that I want to be hitting? And I think that that's an interesting way to take a look at the data. Any other sort of filters that you like people to see?
I mean, I usually go through the filters and kind of start by, you know, some hypothesis of like, oh, I wonder if higher income brackets skewed a little bit higher. So I'll probably do like the 2 upper income brackets versus the bottom 2 income brackets to see if there's a large disparity compared to what the overall was. I'll do the same for age, typically, and the same for education, just out of curiosity to see if you know, sometimes that's what you want, but also sometimes you're kind of batting at too high of a education level, which may be hard for people to interpret. So you kind of want to balance, and it's good to know if it's like heavily skewed towards like this is taking way too much brain power for people to figure out.
Yeah, yeah. Just go ahead, John.
Yeah, one thing I like to do with my polls is I will go through, and as I'm reading the responses, I'll make sure to try to mark the responses either helpful or not helpful. So that's a way where we as the recipient, the person running the poll, can give feedback back to the system to say these are good respondents or these are not so good respondents, and then the system can calibrate. Another benefit is that by marking responses helpful, we can then go, I can then go to filter by answer attributes and click on helpful. And so that lets me see only the ones that I marked helpful, which usually are the ones that I feel I want to come back to in the future, and to be able to glean more insight when I'm making, you know, the next decision or doing an iteration.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, so I just marked something helpful. If you want to refresh the page, you can probably run that filter and show it off.
Sure. So clear the filters that I have.
Let's see. So if you.
So these are just the ones that you marked.
So
yeah.
Yeah, I think that that's a really useful view. And what's neat too is that you can just go ahead and copy and paste that URL, and you can show your colleague that filtered view. We have a question that has come in through YouTube. Keith wants to know if there's anything new specific to Amazon A/B testing.
New specific to Amazon A/B testing.
One thing that I would add is that even if, you know, the platform itself, the PickFu platform, is not necessarily Amazon specific, but what we have found is that a lot of Amazon sellers are finding new ways to use it. So a lot of Amazon sellers might just be testing their images right now, right? That's a very common use. But one thing that they haven't thought about perhaps is doing some competitive testing. So you take your listing and you put it up against, you know, the other guy, whoever is winning in your category, right? And you can glean a lot of insights that way, like, oh, what should I emulate, or what gaps can I fill?
Yeah, we've definitely seen some
underused way to use PickFu. You can even just do an open-ended poll where you're getting feedback on a competitor or whoever's like the category leader, just to see what they're doing well, see what people are focused on in terms of why they like that listing, but also seeing what they don't like about what the category leader's been doing, and see if you could adjust your product or listing to fill those gaps.
Yeah, and sort of related to the times we're in right now, where we're talking about focusing on the business and sort of strengthening things. I think one of the things that we are trying to focus on is that as we're seeing more sellers, more e-com sellers come up with these really interesting use cases and really valuable use cases, we're trying to add them to our library and then share that, turn around and share that back with our customers. So building out a library of use cases, building out more education about saying, hey, PickFu is not just about, let's say, split testing images or something. It's about getting open-ended feedback. You can use it in this interesting way. So that's definitely something that we're working on as a team to be able to educate our users to really to get the most value from the platform.
Yeah, one of the things that I've seen that has been very interesting for Amazon sellers is they will simply put a link to their listing, and they'll ask a question like, please take a look at this listing, and after you do, let me know if you have any questions. And what that surfaces is something like, what are people confused about, or what do I need to beef up in my copy or in my infographics, or, you know, are there any opportunities that I am not filling currently?
Yeah, I think it gives you a really nice checklist of things to focus on. And so especially now when you're just, sitting at home trying to figure out what to do about improving your listing, you can do a poll like that that's open-ended and read through the comments, and you'll quickly have like a list of like, all right, photos, people don't like the blurriness of the photos or the layout or whatever. People have a question about if it's, edible or washable or something like that. So maybe that is not emphasized enough in the description, or maybe I should add a question Q&A about it in that section. So it's really easy to find quick wins there.
Yeah. All right, cool. Thank you, Keith, for your question. If you guys have any other questions, please keep them coming. We love doing Q&As, and that is pretty much why we decided to do these third Thursdays. So with that, I want to pose a question to the founders that we get all of the time, which is, where did the name PickFu come from? Justin, you want to tackle this one?
Sure. So, fu, the suffix fu basically means mastery of something. So, when you have something fu that you're really good at it, and some people say they have code fu if they're really good at coding. So we wanted a service that was really good at picking. So PickFu, there's some plays on the name like pick for you. So PickFu. We also just wanted something really short. This was, back when we started it, Twitter was kind of starting to get popular. So short URLs was kind of the main thing. So PickFu was what we came up with. It works well as a verb. So like you can PickFu something, which we use all the time.
And it was available as a good domain name. I think I do remember us coming up with a list of maybe 10, 20 different options, short, 2-syllable, available as a .com. And I think we ran some PickFu polls, I believe, on some of the finalists to see which one was sort of more memorable and catchy for people too.
All right, we've got a YouTube question. Can you show an example of how to best compare a listing versus a competitor? I'm trying to understand how to best do this.
Okay, sure.
Do we have one?
Yeah, you can try.
Do you have one available?
No, I was just gonna talk about it first.
Just riff.
Yeah. I would say that there's two ways that I've seen customers do it. So one is based on search results. You can you can basically take a screenshot of an Amazon search results. Let's say you're selling tea kettles, so you search for tea kettles. You see the one who's your competitor, or you see the set of listings that are shown in that Amazon search, and you can probably, if your listing is ranked in there, then you can just put that up, or you can Photoshop your listing there and take two search results side by side and post those to the PickFu panel and ask, well, which one would you rather buy on Amazon and why? And what you would probably want to do there is sort of cover up some of the things that are don't make the comparison apples to apples. So so here we have like for shopping for a dog leash. So something I would do here, depending on sort of the feedback that you want, you might want to cover up the ratings and reviews. You might want to hide the pricing because you know that that's a big factor too. And then go through a poll like this, run a poll like this, and go through the results and see, well, is it the photo? See what people respond to, right? Is it the photo? Is it the title? Is it a description? Is it the ratings and reviews? In that case, you may want to hide that in a future poll. So this is a really good example of that.
Yeah. So
think Daniela did a video for us on our YouTube channel. I don't know if that one's published yet, but I think we do have a video where she kind of walks through doing that and kind of using like PowerPoint or Photoshop or something to cover up some of that data just to normalize it.
Exactly. So just so the audience can understand what we're looking at here, this is an example of you know, an Amazon seller that asked, if shopping for a dog leash, which one would you buy and why? And if we look at the filters, like we just talked about, it, you know, 21 people had the word cheaper in their comments, so we can see that price sensitivity is a big deal. So let's say you are the seller of option A. Maybe you think, oh, like maybe I should take a look at being a little bit more competitive with my price, right? Or if I clear that, we can also see that, you know, a lot of people mention the color. So, you know, perhaps this is an opportunity where you've got variation. Maybe you don't want to highlight, you know, this bright green color, or maybe you do because people really liked it. But you know that color has a lot to do with things. So that's a really good question.
And Keith had a great comment here where he said that in the past he put a link to both listings and asked for something positive, negative, and the hindrance of why you might or might not purchase that listing. So that works really well. You can definitely just put in 2 Amazon URLs in a poll and ask the audience to compare and contrast the two.
Yeah, I think we have an example of that too. Let me pull that up. So the question is, you want to buy a standing desk converter, which one would you buy? And option A takes us to one Amazon listing, and option B takes us to another Amazon listing. And you know, after the respondents have done that, you can see that 31 out of the 50 respondents chose option B. And again, kind of looking at the filters, oh, I don't know. But it looks like, you know, people say things like, again, color, they look at reviews, they look at durability. I mean, you can really get hints as to where you might be falling short.
Yeah, so again, like if you want to normalize what the listing view look like and kind of take some of it out, I would take a screenshot of the listing and then kind of blur out some of those things like price and ratings, or, you know, prime or choice, you know, labels, that kind of stuff.
Yeah, exactly. Eric said,
the key tip, I guess, for in general when running any kind of test, I think we should always reiterate this, is that you want to try to hold the variations to a minimum. Ideally, it's only a single thing that varies between two things, but the less variables, the more confidence you'll have that, you know, why a certain option wins.
So Keith asked if that poll was public, and I did just put in the chat the link to that poll. And Eric has a couple of comments. This brings up an interesting question about testing price elasticity. And he also says, I suppose a choice-based research like a conjoint analysis could be modified to work on PickFu.
Yeah, so that one.
Yeah, go ahead, John.
Yeah, so we've had some sellers try to do some sort of pricing surveys to test target pricing about a product on PickFu. Nothing, we haven't seen too much in the way of sort of the more traditional market research, sort of data intensive methodologies, although we have seen some tried. It's a pretty interesting question because we've definitely thought about using the panel to adopt some of those more traditional market research, like pricing analyses and stuff. But it's not something that, it's not a road that we've gone down too far yet.
Yeah, but we love that you're asking those questions for sure.
Yeah.
I think the way I've seen more people do it is if they're working on certain kinds of bundle. So like, you know, if you want 3 for this price or 5 for this price with this thrown in, and if you're trying to figure out what kind of value proposition people are more interested in. I think that's an interesting way to test it. And that's, you know, you don't get into the situation where people are just always choosing the lowest price then, right? Like, because you're offering different value propositions.
Right. All right. So if there aren't, or I'm going to give everybody one last chance to ask some questions before we wrap up here. But I want to remind you, if your business has been impacted by COVID-19, we are still taking applications for our COVID-19 small business grant. We are granting 100 businesses that have been impacted by COVID-19 $200 in PickFu credit. And you can visit that link, pickfu.com/COVID, to apply. Similarly, we would love to feature your poll. And so if you would like us to talk about your poll and kind of give you a live analysis, just like we did on our own poll, you can submit your poll question and your images and what have you, and maybe we'll discuss it next month at the link below. So definitely go and join us on our next third Thursday. So I think that that's going to be it. I think this was a great first run. Keith and Eric, thank you so much for your questions. And we will catch you on the flip side. All right, bye everybody.
Bye, thanks.
Bye.